Namaste. We are going to be doing our yin flow today, and it's based on some inspiration coming from my trip to India. I mentioned to you guys a couple of weeks ago when I returned that we went to 3 different classes with 3 different Indian teachers. They were all male. And something that they all had in common was they started off teaching us a mantra, and we would all collectively use our voice and do a call and response chant with that. And then we would open up the neck. And I found that to be really interesting because here in the States, when I went through my yoga teacher training, we were always encouraged to start somewhat early in the practice with the side stretch to open up the side body, which allows more space for the heart and the lungs, and of course, making us more accessible to open up the channel of breath. So, and they would do that too. Their side stretches were pretty early on in the practice. But what I found interesting was the throat center. The neck and the throat center goes back to the 5th chakra. And if you look at the chakra system, lower 3 really how we are operating this physical plane and in our physical body. And the heart center is the place of integration where we come into harmony and balance. And right above that, these higher 3 chakras are considered the more spiritual centers. And so with the throat center, it's about voice, it's about communication, expression, it's about truth, how we hear, live, speak, and express truth. So I thought today we would start with a mantra with a chant. It's really easy. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. So we're going to chant it in just a minute. That was just giving you kind of a little bit of a preview, but I want to break it down. Some yogi traditions will kind of greet each other with Hari Om Tat Sat. But if you break down kind of this mantra, the Om Tat Sat can be used on its own as well. Om is that universal sound and vibration. It represents the creative energy that goes back to Brahma. The Tat goes back to Shiva and the energy of dissolution, transformation. And then you have Sat, which is related back to Vishnu, and it's about the preservation of energy. And so when you put all this together, Hari Om Tat Sat, it's really about recognizing, remembering, and having this realization that we are so much more than physical body, and we are so much more than our material goods. So it goes beyond the physical and beyond materialism. Hari Om Tat Sat. And the last thing I'll say about this before we get to the mat is there is a story that I told you years ago about Ashtavakra. And when Ashtavakra was in the womb of his mother, she would go sit at the temple and listen to the teachings daily. And his father came to sit at his wife's feet one night and was rubbing her belly and talking to his unborn son. And something that he said, the son from inside the womb corrected the father, and it enraged the dad. And he cursed his own son. And when his child was born, he was broken in 8 places. Now, his father worked for the king, but at some point he had to go pay penance. He had to go live a life of austerities. And Ashtavakra wanted to save his dad from this fate. And so he went to the king, and of course he's crawling across the floor because he's broken in 8 places. And everyone there, all the king's men, are laughing hysterically at him. And then he starts laughing with them. And the king says, hold up, hold up. I realize why they're laughing, but they're laughing at you. Why are you joining in? And Ashtavakra said, because I realize I'm more than just this shell of body. And so this Hari Om Tat Sat reminds me of that story. Therefore, we are going to do one of the poses dedicated to that particular sage, not the arm balance one, but the other one. All right, so we're going to meet on the mat, and I'd like you to start sitting on a bolster, please. Let's begin just taking a few deep breaths in and out through the nose. Taking the time to tune within yourself. Because this mantra goes beyond the external. The way we look, the way we present ourselves, or the possessions we hold. And bring your hands together at your chest. And then you can just chime in when you're ready. Hari Om Tat Sat. 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 3 more. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Let's set our intention to tap into our higher self. And then interlace your hands together. Open up your eyes and tuck the fingers right up underneath your chin. As we inhale, we're slowly going to fan the arms open, lift the chin skyward, and separate the palms. As we exhale, the hands reclose, the forearms come together, and then we lower the chin. All right, we're going to do this with repetition. Breathe in nice and slow. Breathe out just as slow. Inhaling. And exhaling. Two more. After that breath work is complete, rest your hands on your lap and then tilt your head over towards your right shoulder. The eyes can be open or shut. If the eyes are open, gaze at one specific place. And just stretching the left side of your neck. Remember, with the throat center, it's just as important to listen than to speak. When we are ready to speak, are we being conscious of what we're saying and how we're saying it? In moments where we can steep in stillness and in silence, are we listening for that still, quiet voice inside? which could be stemming from our higher self, or as the book of Psalms says, it could be the soft whisper of God. Inhale, lift the head up. Exhale, lean the head to the other shoulder. Again, eyes open or closed. Too many thoughts are racing through the mind. Replace it with Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. And feel free to have that on repeat at any point. Using a mantra on repeat will help to quiet the mind. Inhale, bring the head back up. We're going to lace the hands together and cradle the hands right up underneath the base of the skull. And then pick up through the chest. Lean your head back into your hands and feel the cow tilt variation. And as you exhale, pull the belly in, concave the chest, release the elbows, bow your head, feel the couch stretch. And then let's move as we breathe. Inhale, blossom open through the front of the body. And as you exhale, wither and close in as if you were coming back into the states like a bud. Inhale, opening. And exhale, contracting. 3 more. Last set. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. And then inhale, come back up. And as you exhale, release your hands. We're going to send that bolster away and come up to standing Vajrasana. And when you come up to standing Vajrasana, lift your left arm in the air. And once it comes up to frame the face, you're going to teeter over to the right. So this is where we'll incorporate our side bends to open up the left side body, the intercostals, that particular lung, that particular meridian. At first, you're going to keep that arm actively lifting and reaching, fingers extending. And then as you exhale, wilt the upper arm into a C curve, relaxing the elbow, wrist, and fingers. And just notice how that may influence your breath. If it blocks the breath at all, then just lift your heart up a little bit so you're not cutting into your right side as much. On your next inhale, fly the left arm skyward, build the right arm up beside it, and then lower the left arm and extend over to that side. That right arm is reaching, fingers elongating. And then move into the yin version. Sure that you're catering to your breath, not cutting it off. Inhale, we're only bringing the right arm overhead. And as we exhale, we're sitting back towards our heels. We're going to take both blocks, turn them in front of you. And we may have to, slide on forward or back depending on how this works out. Our thighs are going to be knit together. We're pouring over the lap. And the elbows are going to stack on top of the blocks. Palms together and Anjali Mudra hands. And then your head is bowing between the arms. So we're still opening up the side body, the side traps, the outseam of the shoulders, the pits of the arms. Opening up the thoracic spine. Return to your breath for the mantra. Hari Om Tat Sat. Focus on one or the other so you're developing a meditative mind. On your belly and the backside of your lungs to fill up as you breathe in. And allow them to relax as you breathe out. Inhale, let's lift the head up. We're going to use the left hand to slide the left block away. We're going to separate our thighs, but keep the big toes touching. The right block is going to be for the right hand. And as we slide it out in front of us, we're flipping the left palm and looping that arm below and resting on the left ear. So it's tadpole with a shoelace arm, with the right hand resting on the block so that we have a nice open area in the face in order to breathe. Just allow the left side of your body to melt down towards the earth. Notice there's more pronounced sensation in the left foot, thigh, and hip. Feel it alongside your left shoulder, outer frame of the arm, and the neck. And just let your weight continue to release and spill down. We're opening up a lot of meridians. There's 3 on the inseam of the legs. There's 1 in the front of the legs. We have another in the side body that moves up to the neck. And 3 on the outside of the arm, and 3 on the inside of the arm. Step the right hand down in front of the face. Slowly unwind that shoelace arm. Take the right block off the mat. Bring your thighs more together. Shift forward to tabletop. Curl the toes and lift up to downward facing dog. Pressing and rooting through the hands and the feet. Extending long through your limbs and the shaft of the spine. Walk the dog if you need to, otherwise stay in this position, concentrating on form, breath, and mantra. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. You can just think it, you can speak it, or chant it. Let's walk the hands back towards the feet. Softly bend your knees about over and down and nod your head yes. Yes for truth. So that term sat, that preservation energy, is also related to the term truth. So Hari Om Tat Sat is about recognizing absolute truth. And now nod your head no, no for the mistruths that lead us astray, that make us feel that we are more physical than spiritual. Remembering we are light bodies and we are infinite. Let's take a hold of the elbows, making the upper body slightly heavier. If that's too much for your hamstrings, you can release that grip. Few more breaths. Bend the knees enough to get the hands to the floor, just long enough to come back to the knees. Untuck your toes, sit back on your heels. We're gonna bring the left block over and do the half shoelace with the tadpole. So the left hand can slide out with the block. The right hand's gonna flip open and thread beneath. You're resting on the right temple and allowing the right side of your body to just collapse towards the floor. Let's bring the left hand down in front of the face. Unthread the right arm, move that block away. Draw the knees together, shift your hands forward, rock forward into up dog. Exhale, back it up to extended child, but look out towards your hands today. Inhale, open the throat wider as you create your back bend. And exhale, keep looking towards your hands today as you breathe out. This is one of our active flows. This time, once you're in upward facing dog, you're going to curl the toes under, pull in through the belly, sail the hips up and back. Step the feet a little closer together for your downward facing dog. Holding this inversion. Right, we're going to move towards that Ashtanga Pranayama, a story that reminds us that we're more than this physical shell of body. So inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, drop the knees. Send your torso forward, shoulders past the wrist. Bend the elbows, drop your chest and chin, elbows squeeze in. We're going to hold for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Legs back, belly down. Crawl the forearms forward for Sphinx. We're going to be active first. Lengthen your leg bones back, your feet back. And if your heels are turning out, turn your heels inward. And notice how that changes up the buttocks, the firmness in the glutes. Push heavier through your arms, down through the pubic bone, pull up through the navel, elongate your neck, look out, and breathe. Maintaining engagement, using your muscles, gaining toning and strength. Exhale, we're going to slide the feet apart, wiggle the feet in and out, rock the hips back and forth, loosen it all up. Shrink into your shoulders, spill your head down, and lean your head slightly to the right shoulder. Now entering the yin form of Sphinx pose. Now lean your head to the left shoulder. Stretching, releasing the right side of the neck. Notice how it may even creep up into the shoulder. The two are closely related. Use your breath work or the mantra to slow and quiet the mind. Bring your head up. Walk the elbows forward so that you're plopping down to your base ribs. And now you're going to hold your head up with your thumbs. Silently repeat or chant aloud. Hari Om Sat Tat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Roll down to the palms, push up through table, curl the toes, lift up through downward facing dog. Creating this counter from the back bend. Hugging in through the belly. Your next in breath, we're going to walk the feet forward behind the hands and we're going to drop down towards a squat. So if you need to sit on a block, that's okay. We're going to bow the head to prayer hands, similar to what we did in that final Sphinx. head up slowly. And if you're on a block, move it out of the way because we're going to come down to the ground and then walk the feet ahead of us. The hands are going to come through the middle and then slide up underneath the knees. And we're moving towards Karmasana tortoise. And so the feet are going to stay flat and the head is going to droop down as if we were hiding in the tortoise shell. We're going to fly the toes up. And as the heels slide forward and out, we're going to allow the hands to continue to slide up underneath the knees. But instead of dropping the head, we're going to look out as if our head was coming out of the shell. And I want you to think for a moment, this is an example I gave earlier in class. In the 90s, when Pamela Anderson was so popular, she was like the blonde bombshell in American culture. And her face was everywhere. Paparazzi followed her everywhere. And she was like the staple of American beauty, right? Even though she had had surgery, she was always kind of fixed up. The makeup was always perfect. But she's coming out now, and I don't even know how old she is. I know she's older than I am, but she is making a statement, coming out in red carpet events, fashion shows, and movie premieres, and showing a completely naked face. No makeup, no concealer. She's no longer hiding beside the facade of her appearance from her past, because she's had the spiritual awakening that she is no longer going to stay fixated on her body, that she's more than that. She's more than her face, more than her body, more than her name. And I think it's just a really powerful statement, especially for women today. Hariom Tat Sat, we are more than our appearances. All right, let's slide the hands back in, bring it up. All right, grab one of these blocks. We're going to come down to our backs. We're now going to push the feet down, to tuck the tailbone, to come to a restorative bridge. However, we're not going to maintain restorative bridge. We are with the block, but we're going to activate the shoulders. So the arms are going to come beside us, palms facing down. And then we're just going to tuck, the gentle tuck, nothing extreme. A slight tuck of each shoulder so the heart center gets a lift. Now let your chest rise and fall as you breathe. And then we're manipulating the energy to come to the truth center of the throat. And the energy is moving upstream, which it is in the inversion because it's moving towards the higher centers. It's about spiritual enlightenment, spiritual unfoldment, spiritual liberation. How can we liberate ourselves from this physical plane, from the lure of materialism, from the lure of pop culture's idea of beauty? And the list could go on and on. Remembering we are so much more. Let's slide the shoulders out. Let's tuck and lift away from the block. Let's roll down to the sacrum and hug the knees in. We're going to slip the hands up underneath the knees. And we're going to rock forward and back several times. And the next time you come up to take a seat, lift up energetically. Exhale, spin to the right. Take a twist. But today, see if you can turn your head to gaze out over the right shoulder. If that's too much, because we have been using the neck a lot today. If you need to keep the chin in line with your chest and be more neutral, honor that. Exhale, unwind. Pause for a brief moment. Feel the effect. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, twist left. Maybe gazing more over the left shoulder today. As long as it doesn't create pain, strain, or inhibit the breath. Exhale, unwind. We're going to bring the hands to Jnana Mudra, representing wisdom. And that means the thumb and index fingers are touching, other fingers extended and together. And we're going to do that chant before our Shavasana. Hare Om Tat Sat. 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 3 more. Hare Om Tat Sat. Hare Om Tat Sat. Hare Om Tat Sat. Bringing ourselves into the ultimate truth or the ultimate state of reality. Remembering we are spirit. I'm going to give you a choice for Shavasana today. Think about the bridge we did. There was this elongation and traction in the neck, and then we're going to do the fish to open it back up. So there's 2 ways. You may enjoy the bolster. It to the small of the back so that you're laying over it, and you may need a toss pillow for your head if that's too much for your neck. But we do want the throat open. The other way of doing it is with blocks. So you could have one block on the middle height, one block on the smaller height, so that your heart has the lift and then your head is back. Pick the one that speaks to you today. And it's okay if you feel the need to bend your knees. So either saturate in the silence or use the mantra Hari Om Tat Sat on repeat if you need it. If you're on a bolster, bend your knees and roll away. But if you decided to stay on blocks, you're going to lift your head up Bring the hands close by. Use your core and your arms to lift straight up. We're going to close out our practice, joining the hands together to prayer. May this class be a reminder to all of us that we are so much more than our physical body and any possessions we own. Hari Om Hat Sat, reminding us that we are light beings, spiritual beings having this human experience. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.